In education, an unannounced visit by the Ashanti Regional Minister Simon Osei-Mensah to some WASSCE examination centers revealed some lapses in the observance of COVID-19 protocols in schools. Now, those schools and students were found wearing face masks. Many of them had little or no tissue and soap to also ensure proper hand washing. Lava Firm's Erastus Asaridonko has filed the story.
87,295 candidates are writing this year's West African Senior School Certificate Examination across the Ashanti region. This is an increase of 4,894 or 6% over the 2019 figure of 82,401. Many schools designated various classrooms for candidates to write the Visual Arts Practicals paper, which covers graphic design, sculpture, picture making, and ceramics. Regional Minister Simon Osei-Mensah showed up without notice at KNUST SHS, St. Louis Senior High School, Kumasi Academy, and Prempeh College. Others are Yasantua Girls, Opokuware, and Pentecost Senior High Schools. In many of the schools, Mr. Osei-Mensah was unhappy about unavailability of hand-washing materials and even the positioning of Veronica buckets.
No tissue. Here, no tissue, even here. So I wash my hand and do what? I'm coming to wash my hand now. And I have to see tissue before I move. Okay. Yeah, not for decoration on shelves. Let's go to where they are having the visual.
Mr. Osei-Mensah also raised concerns about students keeping their hand sanitizers in their bags.
They are meant for a purpose. Yes, and when they work for some time, then they will use it. They didn't arrange the tables and chairs. Huh? So, someone else did the arrangement. So if the table or the chair is contaminated, what happens?
At Yasantua Girls, Regional Director of Education Mary Owusu-Afriye questioned authorities for failing to put to use items provided by government.
Why are you keeping the tissue?
They are not for decoration.
Hello.
On the shelves. They are supposed to be used.
It's not as if the government hasn't supplied. You have been supplied, so why aren't you using them?
The next 30 minutes, you have to make sure that you have them, because I'm going to send somebody back. I will not come back, but I'm going to send somebody to come and check.
Events on the first day of the exams received high marks from the regional minister.
And everything is peaceful so far. With the other objective, in general, it was okay, but there were some few lapses. When you take the use of face masks, 100%, that is perfect. When it comes to Veronica buckets, the same. They all had the Veronica buckets. In almost all the schools, there were no tissue papers for which the students could use to wipe their hands after washing their hands with soap and water. We've advised them to supply the tissue to all the various schools, in all the various schools and at the various washing points. That is wherever they have Veronica buckets.
Some students also shared their first day experience with Love News.
Things are moving on smoothly. As we were expecting something difficult or whatever, nothing was so difficult.
We're not in normal times, right? So we don't exchange items. So we are buying our item, like using our normal items to write the exam.
Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaridonko, Kumasi.
Meanwhile, the minority in Parliament is asking the Ghana Education Service to take necessary steps to ensure final year students who are in COVID-19 isolation and quarantine are not disadvantaged. Dr. Clement Park is Deputy Minority Spokesperson on Education.
Only wish them well, and we pray for God's guidance and protection in these very trying and, in fact, inconducive times for them to be writing exams. It is our hope that they will do their best under very trying, terrifying, and panicky conditions. So we can only wish them well. But that is part of the problem. We always raise the point that what would happen if students were sick? And what would happen if some of them perhaps even lost their lives during their stay in school? As we speak now, we are yet to hear what government's plan is through the GES regarding those students who may be in isolation and others who may be recovering from the virus. But be as it may, it is no longer a secret that COVID-19 is present among our students.
Away from education, government says it has so far spent about $34.6 million on COVID-19 testing at a cost of $100 per test. In a statement to Parliament, Deputy Health Minister Dr. Bernard Okoboy said the high investment in testing is yielding positive returns in terms of low coronavirus mortalities.
The claim that the WHO has cited Ghana as one of the countries contributing to the high numbers of COVID-19 in Africa again confirms the lack of understanding in the figures cited for countries on the continent. If a country like Niger tests 275 people for every million of their population, how do you get surprised when told that they are not contributing to the figures in Africa? If Burundi tests 563 people for every 1 million of their population, what do you expect from their numbers? Even Nigeria, with the size of their GDP, is doing 1,000 tests for every 1 million of its population, compared to Ghana's 11,000 tests for every 1 million of our population. The more tests you do per million as a country, the more cases you are likely to pick, and for that matter, confirm. If you don't test, you just cannot confirm cases, and for that matter, might not record significant numbers.
He says claims that government is not paying contact tracers is inaccurate. He says only about 2,000 tracers engaged during the lockdown period have been disengaged, and community health workers already on government payroll are continuing with the tracing.
The claim that government had refused to pay contact tracers also qualifies as an inaccurate narration, composed to create the impression that contact tracing has been abandoned. As a speaker for the records, the Ghana Health Service recruited volunteers who were about 2,000 in number during the 3 weeks of lockdown to help trace and test the 30,000 plus travelers who were in Ghana before the airports were closed.
And to end the bulletin, following Joy News reports last week on insufficient supply of PPEs to basic schools in the OT region, especially face masks, the Coastal Development Authority has intervened to bridge the gap of these shortages in the schools visited. Deputy Chief Executive Officer of the authority, Bob Charles Agbonto, on Monday presented quantities of face masks to 5 basic schools in the KJB district. Correspondent Peter Senu has more in the following report.
According to the Deputy CEO of Coastal Development Authority, Charles Agbonto, the decision to intervene with the supply of the face mask was born out of Joy News report last Tuesday, highlighting the insufficient PPE supply to basic schools in the OT region.
Joy FM and then Joy News came out with this, that I think RC Basic in particular, that the students don't have. Some are using and some are not. And it's dangerous. For anyone who is not using face mask, you are a danger to society, because you are not preventing yourself from getting, and you are also the factor of spreading the disease. Having heard that from Joy News that some are having and some are not, we decided to come forward and see those who are not. We provide everybody at any point in time. Everyone must have face mask.
Coastal Development Authority has presented 100 pieces of face masks each to the 5 schools featured in the report. Some of the students have been expressing their appreciation for the gesture. Godwin, Sharif and Fatimatu are students at the Roman Catholic Basic School, KJB.
We thank the government and KUDA that they have come to our aid. Now we have a sound mind so that we can study and pass our exams well.
We thank the government and the KUDA for giving us extra nose masks. Now you don't have to wash and wear because you are having enough to wear.
We thank them for giving us more nose masks to come to school and wear it so that we can continue our education and no getting of the virus, so that we can finish our basic education certificate as a nation and go back home without getting any problem.
Francis Nogbeji is the headmaster at the Roman Catholic Junior High School.
I would like to thank you very much for this donation. I want to promise that the children will put them into good use so that we will get rid of this COVID-19 pandemic in our area.
For the deputy CEO of CODA, the media must be seen as a partner in development and lauded it for doing a great work since March 2020.
But for media, I mean, the fight will be very, very difficult. So I think I must commend media for the work you are doing, especially Joy FM and Joy News. At times it's good to quick pass up and then we can quickly take our boost and be running. I think it's good for us. I will appeal to politicians to entertain or contain the media, because at the end of the day, no media has to aim towards a bad cause. It is always towards a good cause. So that if they are equipping you for the negative aspect, they want the negative to shift towards the positive. So I think politicians must be aware of that. We should take it in good stride. Human beings, we are all fallible. Maybe you might not be up on a particular game. Somebody will prompt you up and you quickly get up and be running. Like I said, but for you, we couldn't have gotten this information. But the moment we got it, and when we came around, we saw it. Some are having, some are not having.
Meanwhile, the issue of Veronica buckets supplied across the Oti region without taps is still pending resolution. Busy schools are making do with tippy taps and other improvised materials 4 weeks after schools have resumed. Peter Sanu for Joy News.
Well, that's it, the news run-up we have this morning. Before we review the newspapers, myself, Mama Vio Somwache, Gifty and Apia, and Maxwell Akbagba were here. Well, so we're here. We want to do the newspapers. We told you we'll be joined by Gifty and Apia and then Maxwell Akbagba. But the lady in patched yellow and black is here. How are you?
Hello, Roland Walker. How are you?
Hello, day.
Nice.
Thank you.
Are you okay? You sound broke.
No, I'm not broke. No, I'm not broke.
Well, that's okay. Good to know.
Obi Amwa.
Yes.
He's promised me some dough today, so
I'll
call him.
The member of parliament for Equipe himself.
Yes, promised
and the deputy
dough.
Local government minister.
No, don't add the minister part.
Oh, okay.
You know, public officials.
So is the MP who's promised you something?
Yes. No. It's a friend. Oh, also, good morning to you, Obi. I'm a member of parliament for Equipe himself. One of the most decorous, cool men I ever know in politics. Very cool. He has his way of communicating to you.
All the accolades is towards...
And then also to Kujo Ponkroma, Minister for Information. And also one of the coolest.
Oh, Roland Walker.
Cool, but Charlie.
Okay, let's settle for the newspapers. We will do the online stories as well. And Gifty, let's say hello to Gifty. It's been a while. Miss Gifty and Apia.
Gifty and Apia lives in one of the holes in the eastern.
Hi. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Don't mind Roland Walker. Just talk to me.
Oh, Gifty.
Hi, Mama. It's good to see you in your bright yellow jacket. It's amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm good, my darling. I miss you.
I miss you too. You know, I've not been so well.
Oh.
But I'm a bit better today.
Charlie, in order not for me to stigmatize you, I hope it's not corona.
What if it was?
No. I'll go and visit it.
No, it's not.
Really?
All right. I'll be coming to work like that today.
Oh, there only one day, cry. Only 24 hours over. Oh, relax here.
Well, Gifty is going to take us through the fine and the Business and Financial Times. We've got Maxwell Akbagba is also joining us. Let's say hello to Maxwell. Maxwell. Okay, Maxwell will join us in the course of the review. Maxwell is joining us because yesterday he did go around with the AMA. There's something that they're doing in Accra that he will be telling us a bit about in the course of the review. So let's straight away jump into it. Gifty, go ahead with the finder and the BNFT.
I'm just really praying that my internet will be stable whilst we do this. So the Finder newspaper has a banner headline on accident. Story says, accident, 1,141 killed in 6 months. It represents 8.79% decrease. Motorcycles alone killed 440 people. That story is on page 2 of the Finder newspaper. And also other stories there. John Boydu tours registration centers in the Eastern region. Story is on page 8. Long queue at Registrar General's Department. Story is on page 5. And then EC condemns violence at some registration centers. I dare say some will say that was inevitable. It comes with a picture of Jean Mensah, the chairperson of the Electoral Commission. And then beneath her is the Minister for Information, Kojo Nkrumah, and the story that comes with his picture is COVID-19 recovery rates, not an excuse to be reckless, of Nkrumah. And you can find that story on page 9 of the Finder newspaper. I'm going to move you through the inside pages, some of the inside pages we have. Page 2 has the story, the details of that banner headline, the number of people who have been killed through accident. It's alarming, but that's even a decrease. So that's the details are there. And stabbing suspect is not my
Okay, she was worried about it. Here we go with the connection not being stable, unfortunately. Gifty will stabilize and will bring back what she's reviewing. But let me jump in with the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Front page of the Times, Accra markets undergo massive cleanup. Comes with a picture of the local government's Rural Development Minister, Hajia Alima Mahama. AMA military police enforced nose mask wearing in Accra. Maxwell will bring us the backstory. So this Oti landfill to be transformed into modern waste treatment facility. Wasi takes off smoothly nationwide. Mayhem at Kaswa Registration Center. 4 arrested, guns fired, motorbikes bent, registration officials flee. We will certainly talk about Madam Hawa Kumsin, who admitted to firing gunshots at a registration center in Kaswa. Details of the stories in the center spread. Well, 3,372 COVID-19 confirmed cases receiving treatment at home, according to the Ghana Health Service. Withdrawal request for GBC to abandon 3 channels on DDT platform. That's the Ghana Journalists Association calling for the immediate withdrawal of the directive, requesting the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation to abandon 3 of its 6 channels on the digital terrestrial television platform. In a statement issued by the association in Accra on Monday and signed by the presidents of the GGA, Roland Afel-Money, it said that the directive contravenes constitutional provisions and would endanger the activities of the station. And then details of markets in the 29 metropolitan municipal and district assemblies in the Greater Accra region benefiting from a massive cleanup exercise on Monday, also in the center spread of the paper. On the back page of the Times, work progresses on 10-story hostel for UPSA and Oti landfill to be transformed into modern waste treatment facility. That's the Ghanaian Times newspaper that I'm reviewing today. That will be it. Do we have Maxwell joining us now?
Yeah.
Okay, not quite. Roland?
Very loud on TV. But today, can't get access to it. Daily Guide. So we have Daily Guide. Front page
Roland,
of the
why
Daily
are you shouting?
It's the Max. It's not easy talking with the Max, actually, with the track. So front page of the Daily Guide. Election 2020. Nana will beat Mahama, says EIU report. So by December 8, 2020. EIU says we're going to have incumbent President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo again as president. And this has been captured by the Daily Guide. Obinim since revealed in court, 6,000 workers paid 50% bonus, and Oti landfill to treatment plant underway. On the back page, Source Sports, of course, and it's about how the coronavirus pandemic has bitten Ballon d'Or, and apparently because of this, they are not hosting it this year. So Lionel Messi will be, for the second year in a row, the man who has the Ballon d'Or in his cabinet.
That's a very frustrated man right now with his club. Very unhappy.
Gotten what the Spanish call the Pichichi, the Goal King Award, so that's okay. And you know, over the weekend, or I think before the weekend, he was criticizing the club heads for not doing well.
Yeah,
he's when you're a big player, I think because he's also growing, so he's not.
But he's been very unhappy with them. I think I have also been very unhappy with them. It's just they could be way better than they are right now.
I think Lionel Messi made them better, but he's slowed a bit. He's still good for any team.
A change one person cannot, you know, there's some things that the management must do. I mean, it's not all up to the players.
He could save the team even with bad management. Charlie, age, they catch up on all of us. It'd be normal.
They needed a Neymar, right?
Yeah.
All right, is Gifty also back with us?
Well, we have the...
Okay.
Maxwell.
You unmute me. Yeah, I'll mute you.
Yeah,
hello, Bangladesh.
Yeah.
Maxwell, are you talking about Banku?
No.
Oh, no, I was not.
Okay.
I was not.
Well, Maxwell, you're doing the Daily Statesman, or have we? I think we've done it already.
No, we haven't.
Okay, and then the Dispatch. Please go ahead.
Yes, so I have with me... Yeah, so I have the Daily Dispatch with me. It says, Rollins replies his former associate. That story is on page 12 of the Daily Dispatch. It also has other stories, but Epstein praises UGMC for professionalism. There's been a lot of talk about UGMC, you know, in recent times, especially during this pandemic. UGMC, many have said, has come to the rescue. Local government ministry cleans up Accra markets. That story is on page 11. I was with the team yesterday, and like Mama mentioned, I'll be bringing the details later. An NPA boss woos public support for gas policy projects. And then also in the Daily Dispatch, we have NLA cautions public against fraudsters. So that's what we have for the Daily Dispatch. And then the Daily Statesman newspaper, banks collapse is your mess. Okay, that story is on page 2. And then DI, Dankwa Institute shoots NDC propaganda goons. Yesterday, there was an event organized by the Dankwa Institute. We'll get you the details later. And then Mahama Schemes smear campaign against Rollins is a question the Daily Statesman is asking this morning. And then John Boydu satisfied with voters registration exercise. I'm not sure what the NDC, our friends with the NDC would be saying about this, though. So that's it. The Daily Statesman newspaper and then the Daily Dispatch roll on.
Gifty, you didn't quite finish with the Finder, so if you could hear me, yes, please go ahead.
Okay, so I was going through the inside pages. Second page says has a story of stabbing suspect, not my bodyguard, coming from James Kofi Annan. He's the parliamentary candidate for the NDC for the Futu constituency. So that story is there. Next page I have for you, case of NAM 1 adjourned to September 7. EC condemns violence at some registration centers. That's the details of that headline story is there as well. And then John Mahama wishes Wasi candidate best of luck. Then post-campaign evaluation results show success of Accra's first ever road safety campaign. Interesting. Other stories you can find in the Finder newspaper, long queue at Registrar General's Department. It was a headline story, details here on the fifth page. 2020 Wasi starts smoothly in Ho, and Dr. Doris Date, passes on. Whoa.
May so rest in peace.
I haven't. Right. Wasi begins smoothly in the Upper East region. I'm wondering why they couldn't put together this, the Wasi stories all together. Okay. Final page, which is the back page of the Finder newspaper, John Boydu Tours Registration Center. That's where the details of that story is. NDC agents were not prevented at registration centers, according to Jim Mensah, the EC chair. And Accra Mayor visits voter registration centers, shares nose masks. Okay. And I do have the BNFT. Shall I continue?
Yes, please do.
Yes. Okay. So BNFT banner headline: falling share prices opens opportunity for investors. That story is on 23. AOMC boss says pilot challenges won't derail rollout of CRM implementation, and OT landfill on course to be turned into modern waste treatment facility. Mama, you read a bit of that story in other newspapers. Inside pages of the BNFT: need for pharmaceutical policy to force local purchases of drugs. Former chief pharmacist is saying that. And GMA trains staff on proper observance of COVID-19 safety protocols. Smoke weavers call for raw material factory to enhance business activities. And then we have details of the OT landfill site story. I think this will probably be the last but one. Falling share prices, yeah, the details of those stories are there. Okay, so details of the stories are on page 3. The headlines are on page 3. And finally, I think this is, yes, the BNFT back page, back page. Massive cleanup in Accra markets, and Ryder Iron receives $12 million. IFC is supposed to construct steel factory in Kumasi.
Okay. All right, Maxwell, let's come to you. Let's come to you, Maxwell.
No, that's sure.
Yeah, that's Gifty, but the connection is going bad again. So let's quickly jump to Maxwell. Maxwell, yesterday you were with the AMA. This whole enforcement of nose mask, explain what's happening with the Accra Metropolitan Assembly.
Well, for the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, yesterday was actually a cleaning exercise. So it was a cleaning exercise after Sunday's disinfection and fumigation of the markets. So Sunday, there was a fumigation and disinfection. When we spoke to some of the people who were in charge, they told us that after the cleaning, after the fumigation, it's important for them to do a cleanup exercise of all the markets to, carry the waste materials and the many things that came out after that fumigation exercise. So that was what happened. But they had the military and personnel from the Ghana Police Service. They were the main people taking part in the cleaning exercise. Okay. So what happened was that you sometimes find people who are not wearing face masks, sometimes sitting in vehicles, moving to their various destinations, to the workplace, or maybe to go and visit a friend. And when they find you in that area around that time without a face mask, what happens is that they would ask you to join the cleanup exercise against your will. So for many of the people who were caught without face masks, they were asked, to join the cleaning exercise. I remember there was a gentleman I spoke to yesterday. He said he had a phone call, so he brought his face mask under his chin and was speaking on the phone. He was not lucky. He was caught by one of the soldiers, and then they asked him to join the cleaning exercise. And he went down on his knees begging, saying that he's going to Takoradi, so they should allow him to go to Takoradi because his mates and his boss will be leaving. They did not allow him to go. They asked him to join the cleaning. He had to get down into the drainage system to do some of the cleaning. And we found some persons also on motorbikes without their face masks, Okada riders without their face masks. They were asked to park their motorbikes and join the cleaning exercise. And that was the same thing that was replicated in the Ga East Municipal Assembly, where we also visited. So for the Ga East Municipal Assembly, it was a cleaning of the Dome Market. There, we had police officers who were standing very close to where the cleaning was happening. And they were stopping vehicles with passengers who were not wearing their face mask. So there was a gentleman who worked with a bank. He was stopped. He was not wearing his face mask. He was given a broom, to join the cleaning exercise. He was not enthused about that at all. At the point, he struggled with the police officers. But at the end of the day, they got him to do the job. He went down into the drainage system to clear some of the choked drains. And then when he was done, about 15 minutes, 20 minutes when he was done, they allowed him, to go. So that was what happened at Agbogbloshie Market and then also at the Dome Market.
Okay, this is interesting because the law that we have, because this is a form of punishment if you're seen not wearing the mask, as in join the cleaning up exercise. The only issue is that the law that we have doesn't say that. The law that criminalizes not wearing of mask doesn't say sweep or clean the gutter or get a policeman or a soldier to get you to do some work on the ground. So that's the confusion. I don't know what you guys think. Roland, Gefty, would you want to come in?
But I think the local government authorities have the power to also undertake bylaws.
Exactly.
And that is supposed to be enforceable.
Yeah. So is this under a bylaw?
No, I'm saying you're asking me that this is not in consonant or commensurate with what the content of the law is. And I'm saying that the local government authority, because we're speaking to the actions that have been undertaken by AMA regarding a wider program by the local government ministry with Zoomla and the rest of the groupings, the enforcement, if I want to have a certain rebate or have a devil's advocate position, I'll say that the local government authorities have the authority to do what they are doing. You may say it contravenes the
I'm not
itself.
Okay.
But they have that authority.
So where are they coming from? Where's the bylaw? Where's the bylaw that spells out that if you get somebody who is not wearing a mask, get them to clean the gutter?
But I think
okay, Maxwell, was there any clarification on that?
Well, really, there was no clarification. But for the people who were punished, the people I spoke to, some of them who were well aware about the law of not wearing the face masks, the punitive, measures that comes with it, they were quite excited that they only had to go down into a drainage system to desilt it. I spoke to two gentlemen. I asked them what their position was, after the soldiers asked them to desilt the gutters, and they seemed quite excited. They said, although, they broke the rule, they were not taken to court to pay that hefty fine. They were not taken to court, for a jail term or any other thing. So they were happy, to desilt the gutters. So for the people, really, they were not too bothered, except for the gentleman who, one of the gentlemen who works with a bank who was actually trying to, challenge the police officers. And they told him point blank that if you challenge us, we'll take you to the station and we'll make sure that you are processed and sent to court. Moabi.
Gefty.
Yes, I think it's the most practical way of implementing this particular law. Look, we don't have the space to arrest people. In fact, we're in COVID-19, we're in a pandemic. We can't be arresting people and putting them in cells and, spreading the disease and all of that. I think it's the most practicable. I don't know about the bylaws and things, but I do think that authorities make policies, that backs how they are able to implement some of these laws. So I have absolutely no, in fact, this looks perfect. It looks like the perfect fit for our problems, our sanitation problems. And you see, behavioral communication will tell you that people tend to go after behavior that brings them rewards, and people tend to shy away from behavior that brings them punishment. If you remember, if you're not wearing your mask and you're in a public space and you remember that you had to dig out some dirt from a gutter, I think it's a sweet reminder of the need to wear your mask. So I think it all means we should go for it. But I am not in any way going to raise any legal issues with it at all. As long as we're not abusing people's rights, as long as there's no abuse of human rights, people are just cleaning the gutters, which we need people to do. It's amazing. It works perfectly.
Well, this is also practical. My only issue is that then you have to have some backing to it. You can't just ask people to.
It's fine. They should go.
Because
go for
otherwise,
it, that will not necessarily be my. Unless I'm seeing some abuse, that will not necessarily. But I get you, Mavi, where you're coming from. That will not necessarily be my point of reference.
Yeah. I appreciate that. It's just my worry if we don't have any backing to it. Yesterday, I heard the regional minister on radio. I'm not sure I heard him specifically say that there was any specific bylaw that, you know, asks that if you're not wearing the face mask, then they ask you to do some piece of work. Maybe we can do some more follow-up, particularly with the AMA on this. I don't have any issues, but it must be prescribed if this is the way that we're going. The Volta region did this. They were fining people. Maxwell, go ahead. We seem to have lost the connection. Maxwell was just jumping in, you know, with some background. But there's also another issue, Roland Walker. There's something.
In fact, he has been saying that the original.
Yeah.
Maxwell, go ahead.
Yes, go on. The internet
okay,
is
so,
exactly.
Mr. Ishmael Ashite, he's actually.
We have to apologize.
So sorry for that technical blip. That was Nathan Latos' report on Isaac Dugbe. He's back in the ring tonight and wish him all the best. There will be more in terms of preview prior to that bout tonight. But away from that, let's do football. And General Secretary of the Ghana Football Association, Prosper Arsenado, has explained why they factored the national teams in the FIFA and CAF COVID-19 relief funds. Now, many people have questioned the move by the football governing body, but Prosper says they cater for some expenses of unofficial matches. There's more in this report put together by my colleague Muftar Nabila Abdullahi.
The Ghana Football Association Executive Council allocated about $110,000 to men's national teams from the CAF and FIFA COVID-19 relief funds. The decision was met with a disquiet from the football industry players who argued that the football governing body is misapplying the funds. Patrick Akoto, Communication Director for Mediama FC, says it is the responsibility of government to cater for the national teams.
Every jurisdiction, and I've made that point, has different scenarios.
Okay.
So, for instance, in Nigeria, where the NFF pays for the salaries of coaches, it stands to reason that the Nigerian Football Association can decide to use some part of the funds for national teams. But that is the same situation we have in Ghana. So you need to balance the scale. When we say we are mitigating, what are we mitigating? How are we mitigating the Black Stars, for instance, who are taking $17,000? There's $60,000 for the national women's team. This is earth-shattering. You go to another $40,000. Look.
So let me explain it quickly.
These are humongous figures which has been captured all for the national team.
The big boys will not make the figures any bigger.
No, but the point is that you need to explain further. Give us better particulars. The explanation you've given will not suffice. I'm sorry, it will not suffice.
Okay. But Secretary General of the GFA, Prosper Harrison Addo, disagreed with the claims, insisting that camping and preparation of national teams for unofficial matches is catered for by the FA.
Camping. So let me, this same year we are talking about. You remember the Black Queens camp at Pram Pram? Sure. And then they went to Turkey. Everything about the camping in Pram Pram, and they're going to Turkey for that friendly tournament, had nothing to do with government. It's not competitive match. It's not a FIFA qualifier or CAF qualifier for World Cup or anything. We were trying to prepare them so that when the qualifiers come, they will be in readiness to play. The same for the under-20 women's team. They were in Pram Pram for a number of weeks, preparing them, and then they went to Morocco to play the Moroccan team, all from the FA side. So when they come to those matches and friendly matches, we take care of it. So if allocations are made, and we've explained it in the document, that those monies there are for the camping of the national teams and overhead costs. Where in that document have I said that 17,000 cannot pay the national team coach?
The GFA will hold a meeting with clubs on Wednesday to explain the details of the disbursement.
So that was Mustafa's report. Let's stay still with the issue of the COVID-19 relief fund. And Dreams FC administrative manager Aminu Shado, for him, the relief fund allocated to the Premier League clubs is not enough, though he gave props to the association for their effort in administering the total funds to the necessary stakeholders.
Many clubs have disagreed with the GFA for allocating funds they claim is meant for members of federations impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. Chief Executive Officer of Dreams FC, Aminu Shado, said he has no reservations about the distribution.
I don't have issues at all with people who've raised questions about how some money has been allocated and to which other blocks that have been allocated where they feel they don't deserve. It's for them to raise those issues and defend them. But for me personally, honestly, I've looked at the allocation sheet, and if we are going to go by the FIFA directive that this money should go to the benefit of the wider football fraternity, I think the FA has done its bit in trying to ensure that at least this money, these limited resources, reach as many stakeholders as possible.
He, however, stated that the money is not enough.
What I've heard so far is that the money is not enough. The money is just not enough. But then, even at the Premier level, we would have wished to have more money. And I'm sure the FA and other member associations would have wished it's not just 1.8 million in total coming in, but perhaps 5 million or 6 million.
Okay.
So that when there's more money to the association, automatically the allocations to members will also be topped up a bit.
Suspecting persons who would naively send their nude images to their male partners via social media platforms are highly vulnerable. They are threatened to yield to financial demands of their attackers or risk having the nude materials circulated in public. Amma, not her real name, is a victim. She has paid unspecified amount of money to her attacker.
He asked for an outrageous amount, I think for 3,000 or 4,000. I was just there. He kept giving me pressure. It's like he uses a different number to do that. The fear is still there. So I know there are lots of girls out there who haven't even come out to even speak on it yet, just because they are scared.
DOFSU has been investigating 5 of such cases between the last quarter of 2019 and June 2020. Command officials say it is the first time in several years such cases have come up at the unit. Unit Commander Superintendent Derry says many victims are reluctant to report such cases to police.
Something which is now a trend among the youth, and the girls are the sufferers. We call that sextortion. Sextortion. Because of social media, Facebook, whatever, then somebody is a boyfriend on Facebook and the person will manage and lure the girl. Take a naked picture of yourself and send it to me so that I will see. Now, this girl naively sends this picture to the guy. After the guy has gotten the picture, then starts blackmailing. If you don't bring me this amount, I will put it out there. So this girl will go get some money and give. And the next minute, this person will continue to torment this girl until, if you are not even careful, she will even take some medicine and die.
With the support of some mobile network providers, police are able to bring the perpetrators to book. Superintendent Derry revealed the victims are mainly literates from basic to tertiary levels of education.
When it's like that, we pick up the case. We have linked up with some network providers, and so we pick it up from there. And I tell you, they are helping us, and we are able to always locate where those people are hiding with the phones they are using. And we are making a headway. We have prosecuted a number of them. So another campaign message, these girls, please, why should you take a naked picture of yourself and send to somebody?
DOFSU over the period also recorded 32 defilement cases, 5 abortions, 335 domestic abuse and 6 indecent assault cases. Superintendent Derry tells Joy News on the sidelines of an event to commemorate World Population Day, victims must collaborate with police for justice and relief.
When you are facing such a problem, when you report to our outfit, that is DOFSU, we will let you, and also with some other people we work with, try to locate whoever is doing that to you through the same medium, and in collaboration we'll be able to detect where the person is and possibly pick up the person. But with this, we need cooperation from the victim. You shouldn't hide any information you get from the suspect. Such cases are going on, and in fact, many young girls are now suffering because of it. It's just that they feel guilty to come out and report.
From Kumasi, for Joy News, Oimi Interior reporting.
Well, so we have to discuss this subject in detail.
We do.
We're expecting that we would have been joined by the...
Oh, we are.
By the one who heads the police division, and that also tends to look at this for cybercrime, but due to some unforeseen circumstances, we can. But we've been joined by some great people as well.
We have. After Oimi Interior set the tone for us with that report. This is actually very worrying, but this is not something that's entirely new. Let's introduce our guests who are joining us via Zoom. Diana Adiko is a gender activist, former technical director with the Gender Ministry. Hello there, Diana. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Mama V and Roland. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, the Queen. How are you? It's been a while.
It's been a while. I've been seeing you on Facebook, though.
Yes, yeah. You're making noise.
And I watch you on TV a lot.
Thank you.
All right. Also joining us from Banjul in the Gambia is the Director of Programs for the Institute for Human Rights and Development in Africa, Mr. Edmond Foley. Thank you so much for your time.
Good morning, Mama V, and thank you so much. Good morning, Dinah, my former colleague.
Yes, Redmond, good to see you.
Yes, Dinah, good to see you too.
Okay, let's start with you, Diana. This issue and this latest report is coming from the Ashanti region. But this is not entirely new. Tell us about what you know about this subject of sextortion.
Sextortion, it's as I understand it and know it and have seen a few cases, is a situation, it's a form of sexual exploitation. And sextortion comes in two forms. One is the abuse of power, where people who are in power or position to make decisions, to grant opportunities or withhold it, use that position of power to extort or demand sex from people who they have influence over. So that's one form of sextortion. There's another form of sextortion where people use or threaten to use materials, nude materials of the victim to extort against sex. So they threaten that if you do not give me sex or sexual favor or anything related to sex, I'm going to use this material to, they're using that material on you to blackmail you. We also know of a scenario very closely related, which is defined as revenge porn, where often a partner or an ex-partner who has nude materials on you would use that out there as a way of revenging on you. So these are what I know about sexual extortion. What we are describing in this video, as I see it, I heard from Kumasi, sounds to me like another kind that we call webcam blackmail. Mama V, I see you spell my name Adiko again. It's Adiko, K-O. So there's another form we call webcam blackmail, and that is where demand for money come in. Most often, sextortion is usually the demand for sex in return of whatever blackmail is going on. But when it comes to webcam blackmail, there's always also a request for money. And usually there are criminals who use cyber platforms to engage victims who usually do not suspect that they are criminals. They lure them by way of partnership, engage in some form of cyber sex, record it, and then threaten them with those content that they're going to blackmail them blackmail them with those content and demand money, or sometimes demand that they begin to produce pornographic material for them that they use for commercial purposes. And so those are the variations that are emerging with regards to technology, social media, etc., etc. So that's how I understand this practice, where sextortion is people using power to demand sex, or otherwise using your materials to demand sex, or in revenge porn, using materials they already have on you, nude materials, to revenge or retaliate or harm you because you have refused to toe their line or do what they want, is usually described as various forms of sexual exploitation.
Mr. Foley, any additions to what Dinah has said?
I think she's said everything, described all the various forms that we are seeing. So I really have nothing to add in terms of the description. I think, Dinah, you've captured it very well.
But you've also come across some cases as you've dealt with students. What have you also discovered on the ground?
Yes, I have personally dealt with 2 of such cases where I had to counsel the victims and also give them legal advice. And in the 2 scenarios that I worked with, these were intimate partner relations, boyfriend, girlfriend. They had mutually taken these videos, done these videos, filmed themselves in their conjugal acts. And of course, the perpetrator, unfortunately in this case, which were the boyfriends, when the relationships went sour, threatened to release those videos. In one case, they actually released the videos to a set of close friends, close mutual friends. And let me just add at this point that the emotional and psychological impact on the victims can be very, very disconcerting. In the 2 cases that I dealt with, and like I mentioned to you yesterday, being students, it affected their academic work seriously. It had to take a lot of counseling and a lot of repair to their mental state to even get them back to themselves, as well as destroying their human dignity. But as was indicated by the police commander, as she said, why would you want to even do this, do a video to start with? It speaks volumes as to how a person regards him or herself in terms of personal dignity, your own self-worth, and how you view yourself. So in addressing this, I had to first get the victims to appreciate themselves, that they didn't need to put out their sexuality or their nudity to be accepted by their partners.
But I was just going to say on the back of that can we even stop it? We cannot. People, even if they appreciate themselves, will still sometimes go ahead and do it, especially if they are not close. One person is somewhere else and the other person is, they may not even ask for it, but may just get it.
Indeed, Mama V, you are right. For those of us who work in the gender space and in human rights, one of the things you discover, and it's one of the tensions in this debate, is that you have, on the one hand, disempowerment coming out of exposure of this nature. But on the other hand, you have people who say, I feel empowered and I choose what to do with my body. And therefore, I will share that information, but you don't have a right to abuse what I share. The difficulty with that is, and we must all be careful, anything you put out on the internet never goes away. Or you put out through the digital space never goes away, it stays. And that is where then the people you have shared the information with, first of all, have a record on their own devices. But if you've also shared it through an application, a web application, say WhatsApp or TikTok or Zoom or whatever, there is somehow a digital record of that material you have put out and can be accessed and used against you at any point in time.
And I remember about 2-3 years ago, Apple's cloud database was hacked. So we had celebrity pictures of some of the most notable popularity Hollywood and Bollywood actors here on earth circulated. Now, let me come to you, Dinah. Practically, how do they do these things?
How do they do? You mean how do people have access to this information, or
how do they start by luring and ultimately get to the point where these pictures are exchanged either conversely or in real time?
Okay, so I think there are various dynamics to this. One of it is there's an assumption that most of the images that
Okay, Roland, I think we're having issues with the connection.
Used against the victims are images that were shared willingly and consensually. But Edmond, you actually, because, can you hear me now, Roland?
Yes, we can.
Roland, are we good now?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, so I'm saying that it is not all the times that these images are shared willingly, consensually. And there are times, some of it are stolen. And when you say my systems are hacked and you find nude pictures of me, for whatever purpose I put them there, they were on my system and they were hacked and you got access to them. And then you're using it in the way that is not approved. There are times when they were jointly taken. When, as Edmond said, when the relationship was rosy, they were having fun, they were having a good time, consenting adults decided to take images and store it for their own memories. And I think adults, we've all have said that what people do in their bedroom is their business, so long as it is not any form of violation or abuse. And then the third one is, as I initially explained, when we talk about webcam blackmail, is where it's a criminal who come into people's space, be it children or adults, lure them into thinking that they are again in a consensual relationship. They play for them videos of themselves, which usually are not them, but they are stolen images from sites, from nude sites, and say they offer the first form of interaction or engagement on the kind of behavior and encourage them to do same, with the victim trusting that they are in a consensual adult relationship, or even where they are children, because mind you, we keep talking about online abuse of children. They also reciprocate the conduct and send their own images. As soon as it is secured, then the abuse begins. Then they begin to use it against them, and sometimes use the first image to secure a lot of other videos and continue to use this to blackmail them. It is worrying for me. And I think that as much as Edmond has already highlighted the fact that we cannot, it is not safe to put those information out there, because when it is out there, it is there forever. It's difficult to get it out. We also think that, again, we may be quickly blaming. It's an important thing. If I talk to young people, I always put it there, don't put some things on the internet. It's become a struggle for you to get it down. But we can also move the conversation to how can we as a people discourage people from doing these things to other people, especially vulnerable people. And vulnerability comes in so many different senses. How do we discourage it and do not also continue to put the blame on the victims who themselves are already struggling? Edmond explained to you some of the struggles these victims go through, and some of it has led to suicide, poor performance in work, psychological torture, depression, and sometimes suicide. And you know how these things can go viral. But the question is, how can we shift the blame, responsibility on people to protect themselves, but put the responsibility on the people who share these things, and all of us who continue to share and reshare them and get excited about these things? We have a responsibility. For example, I ask, if somebody reports that his or her Benz had been stolen from the car park of any institution or her house, will we go asking, why did you buy a Benz? Or we are going to be concerned about how high crime rates are going up and how much protection we need as a people. But when it comes to rape and abuse or violation of people's bodies, especially women, our question always is, why did they get there? Why did they let it happen? Why did they not prevent it? That is what builds what we call the rape culture. That is what condones and breeds impunity, and that is what allows people to continue to do this. If I am in a group with you and you share such a content and I call you out so blatantly, and I refuse to continue to share it, and we call of you to pull it down, you will not have the appetite or the platform to go sharing it. And if service providers will continue to pull down such images that sought to humiliate and produce revenge porns, there will not be that desire to go after it. If policies are strong enough to hold these people accountable and not to continue to ask the victim, how did you on earth get this picture out there, irrespective of how the person laid hands on it, it will not continue to be attractive. So whilst we talk about how to prevent, prevention is in several ways. It's not only not putting the images out, but it's also preventing people from using things that were meant for other purposes wrongfully and to harm other people. Strangely, the conversation is different when it has to do with women's bodies. We seek to see it in a very different way, and then it's very difficult to address it at the core, and it keeps growing and growing and escalating. With social media and technology in an advanced, proliferated manner, it's just going to get worse.
Now, Mr. Foley, the law should have some remedies. Apart from the psychosocial remedies that we need, the law should be more preventive, right? What does the criminal code say, for example?
Thank you, Roland. Even the term we are using, sextortion, already gives you a hint. If you look at Section 151 of the Criminal Offences Act, which deals with extortion, it is clear that if you use threats to get money from somebody, you could have committed the crime of extortion. So it will depend on the ingenuity of the police, the prosecution, to see if in a particular instance where money is being sought and the kind of threats being put across, then we could come under that section. You can also look at a new section 101A, which was inserted by an amendment, I believe, not too long ago. Pardon me, the year escapes me. But it is called the offense of sexual exploitation. Now, sexual exploitation involves the use of a person for sexual activity that causes or is likely to cause serious physical or emotional injury, or in prostitution or pornography. Now, the Act does not define what sexual activity is, but to my mind, I believe it will be possible to bring a perpetrator within the ambit of this provision, particularly in the instances that Dinah described earlier, where it might have been mutual or the person groomed the victim to send those videos or photos or other material. The punishment here is quite severe. If the victim is below 18 years, then the perpetrator could go to prison for not less than 5 years and not more than 25 years. If the victim is, if the victim is below, the minimum sentence is 7 years. Sorry, let me just correct that. If the victim is below 18, minimum 7, maximum 25 years. But if the victim is above 18, then it's a minimum of 5 years and a maximum of 25 years. So I believe these could be the openings that we could use. Of course, the Domestic Violence Act also defines domestic violence to include sexual harassment, as well as causing emotional harassment using in a sexual context, let me put it that way. But I think of all the provisions I've given you, sexual exploitation carries the highest sentence. And so if we want to send a strong message across, then we better exploit that one.
Yeah. Yesterday I was having an interaction with a policewoman friend, and she did say she dealt with a case about 2 or 3 years ago, and the prosecution was with the Section 280. For which there were publications of obscene materials, because the excuse the perpetrator did give was he was not familiar with the victim, but had just come across the material and, so to speak, published it, but had caused great harm to the victim psychologically within the society, etc.
Yes, Roland. Indeed, Section 280 deals with publication of obscene material. But the act was written in 1960. And if you read those provisions carefully on publication, they seem to occur within the context of publication through hard copy. I mean, when we dealt with print material and not digital material way back in the 1960s. So I think I've written a paper on this once, and my recommendation was to always tie that act with the Electronic Transactions Act, which would then afford you the opportunity to prosecute the person for publication of obscene material through an electronic medium. So yes, you could come under 280 as well, but I would always advise that you also bring the charge under the Electronic Transactions Act, which will allow you to then take advantage of the digital space.
So Dinah, my ex-boyfriend has got my nude photos, and he's now threatening that if I don't give him a certain amount of money, he's going to put it out there. How do I begin to fight this? We know what the law says, but practically, how do I fight it?
Practically, again, it is what the law says that gives us the practical environment. He already has the material. You don't even know where and how he stored them. So again, the law says that when you are being threatened, you should still report to the police. So it's like any other forms of threat. If you are being threatened in this form, you report to the police and give them information that is useful for them to invite whoever it is who is threatening you, and explain the law to them. And sometimes it is made clear to them that if such a material shows up anywhere, such a person will be held accountable. So the moment you are fortunate enough to be hinted that such a thing will happen, and he even goes ahead to add that you give this in return, so then there's clear intention of extortion or blackmail, the police is the first place to go. Domestic violence support, victim support unit is even a closer place because it is also within the domestic relationship. Because domestic violence recognizes this form of abuse where your partner or your ex-partner could use such material again to blackmail you or threaten you or coerce you to do things that you are not willing and happy to do. So it is a well-known form of abuse, though not very, very common or well discussed. So if you go to the police immediately, you can get the help you
So what if it comes with, if you inform the police, there will be, I will deal with you even in a harder way? I mean, if there's a threat of don't report to the police, because the person would know that, oh yeah, that will be your first point of call. So he cautions you ahead and tells you that don't let the police come in.
And that is even a good more additional information for the police. We all know that various crimes, a lot of other crimes, especially abuse of children, one of the biggest threats is if you tell the police, I'll kill this, if you tell your parents, I'll kill this, I'll do this harm and all of that. But that is not enough reason not to go to the police. In fact, that is more reasons to go to the police, because apart from doing that, what else are your options? If you oblige, it's a cycle that will continue without an end. So the best is to take the first step and let the police know and pursue the matter with the police until you get resolution. We all agree that sometimes things are not too fast and smooth with the police, but that is what we have and that's what we can use. And with the scenario you've painted, that is the closest option we have, except I can't think of any other. I wouldn't say go negotiate a deal with him. And when people have material on you that they can blackmail you with, they will continue it no matter how much you try to satisfy their terms and conditions. The terms and conditions keep going up and up. And you see, we should not nourish such behavior by obliging, in my opinion. So take it up, report to the police, and get them to act on it. And often when the police is involved with a boyfriend and things, most often they will, and then the police can help you to alert service providers and network, such that when it shows up, it may be easy for them to help you pull it down to let it circulate and float around and cause even greater harm. So it's best to try that option than to let it be. And then we know from the police, this person can go to court and then justice could be served. And what that does is it deters others from following suit and doing the same thing. So it's very important that the police is contacted on such a matter. And then for people who feel psychologically abused, Edmond explained where he had to get support for some of his victims. You also get support for yourself, because sometimes justice itself is not healing enough. people need psychological support, because one of the telling impact or effect of such forms of abuse is the psychological trauma, emotional effect it has. I mentioned suicide, and I mentioned people sometimes locking themselves out of the world. It can be so damaging that many of them are unable to continue their routine life. And you know how mean society is. People begin to troll, and then we continue to share it. We get excited about harmful things like this. And I think at some point we should all be, anybody who participates, apart from the originator who participates in things like this, should actually be sanctioned, should be held accountable. And then we'll be discouraged from sharing and resharing these things and feeling not guilty about it and think we're having fun. Until probably when the tables are on us, and then we realize that that's not the way to go.
We're asking our viewers to join us now via phone if you've got any comments or questions. But Mr. Foley, how did the cases that you handled, how did they end? Did you go the police way?
Yes, Amavi, we ended up in the police, and I must give credit to the officers of the Ghana Police Service who handled this. And we're talking some 4 years ago. So it was quite novel to them at that time. And even coming up with the charge, as far as I recall, the cases did not get to court, but the perpetrators, I believe, were scared enough and actually desisted from the practice. And I had been in touch with the two victims who said they had not continued that act. I think it was within the discretion of the police at that time to be sure that if they were going to prosecute, they would have a good case. And so, yes, I agree with Dinah. At every point in time, let us go to the police. But as we have this discussion, let us also call out the perpetrators. I think, as we've said, we tend to focus a lot on the victim, but we also need to punish people and make a spectacle of them so that this practice will stop. It's true, a person is victimized, we provide them with a psychosocial support, but to the human mind, if we don't see the punishment or the reprimand coming across strongly, this behavior will continue. And so even as we talk about the opportunities in the law, I think we need to strengthen the Criminal Offences Act by making it explicitly clear with perhaps a new provision or amending some of the existing provisions that this behavior also is criminal. And if you do it, you would face the full rigor of the law.
Well, as we open the phone lines, they're on your screen, 03022116991 or 2. In the UK, they have what they call the National Crime Agency. They tend to do the coordination. If you go to their site with their serious fraud office, they do that with the police, etc. So it looks like it's a wider network of coordination between inter-agencies. Is it because it's more prevalent there? And how can we adopt such from that jurisdiction to ours?
Thank you, Roland. Definitely lessons to learn, but I must give credit to DOVSU in spite of all the logistical challenges that they've had. And we were one of the first countries in the sub-region to have gone the route of having a unit in the police focusing on cases of domestic violence from the days of the Women and Juvenile Unit. But let me also state that this crime is not only a male to women or male to female crime. The reverse also occurs. In fact, I just remembered that about 5 years ago, someone sent me a video from an African country I would not like to name, but it was a video of 3 women allegedly raping a man. They were forcing themselves upon him. He was screaming and crying, and it was being filmed. So I would suspect that this, of course, was going to be used for some purpose. I wouldn't be surprised if it was used eventually. But you could clearly tell the distress of the man. And I've used it in my gender classes to say that it is not only a crime targeting women, but men also are victims. And of course, the usual response is that, no, Mr. Foley, men are hardly victimized in a sexual context. But it is very true that men are also victimized. So as we have this discussion, let us not only look at it as a question for women. I do admit that women suffer more sexual violence than men. But when we also have those cases, let's deal with it without a stereotypical lens.
Well, Mr. Foley, you make me feel vulnerable. I'm now a victim now. Would-be victim. Now let's go to Emmanuel. He's a man. So Gakofe and Emmanuel.
Yes.
What are your experiences? What's your contribution to this discussion we've been having?
Okay. Roland, good morning to your viewers. We are in this country and we watch some of these so-called slave queens. They will take pictures of our MPs. What is the law doing about those ones too?
You mean they shouldn't take pictures with MPs? If I become an MP, I shouldn't have somebody like Mamavi taking a picture with me? Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is that is the law always, when it comes to this extortion, right? Mm-hmm. Is it always, how do you call it, only the women that are victims, or the men are also included? Because
one question. Emmanuel, that'll be it. Let's go to Rashid. Rashid in Tamale. Rashid.
Hello?
Yeah.
Mashoud, not Rashid. Mashoud, please.
Oh, Mashoud. Sorry, my apologies. Please go ahead, Mashoud.
Yeah, please. We are always dealing with crimes, and certain times they persist. And why not look at the beginning of the crime, not of for preventing it, not of maybe looking at how we are going to manage it. We should prevent it. We should, some of the children who do it are innocent. At a certain time, we should restrict them from getting access to those applications. I think that would have helped.
Okay. Mashoud, I have to clarify, it's not only children. We're not even talking about children really involved in this. We're talking plain adults as well, so mainly. Okay, so any responses? Let me start with you. At least, Mr. Foley, you can take the first one. You know, sometimes they take the pictures with the big man, and he's afraid maybe they could be blackmailing his MP who comes to his funeral every weekend. So, and then the second one also, Mashoud.
Yes. So it affects both men and women, so we can get that out of the way. Men are also equally victims. But let us realize that most of the time in the human interaction space, you would get a clash of values and issues. So yes, people are free to express themselves. Our Constitution gives us the freedom of expression, which includes, body language. So if you want to take a photo with someone, why not? As long as you have their permission to do so. I must say that, and I'm sure Dinah will bear me witness, in our work on gender issues in Ghana, we live in a society where people often don't respect boundaries and private space. Within the workplace, male colleagues feel it's just their right, as it were, to hug female colleagues, barge into people's personal spaces, take their arms around colleagues, both male and female. We must respect people's spaces. If you want to take a photograph with someone, you seek their permission. And in seeking their permission, you are also warranting not to abuse that permission that has been given you. So if you want to take a photo with an MP, you take the photo, but understand that it doesn't give you license to go and do whatever you want to do with it, to the extent that it injures the reputation or the dignity of the person. That you can get into trouble for. The person could even sue you in a civil claim. So yes, definitely you are free to express yourself through the medium of photographs, through a digital medium with another person, but respect the boundaries. I very much endorse the point made by Mashoud on prevention. A lot of education about how we use the digital space for us Ghanaians is crucial. Okay. So please, as we work with DOPSU and of course with platforms like yours, the media and the good work that you do, let us take the opportunity to educate people.
There is a very interesting ad from the UK on sexual violence. I mean, preventing sexual violence. I think you can find a copy on the internet. If not, I'll be happy to share it with you. But it is cast around having a cup of tea. If I invite you to have a cup of tea, then that's just it. It's just a cup of tea, nothing more. So just stick with the tea and do not go beyond the tea. Yes.
Okay.
So education, I definitely endorse.
Okay. Let's go to Stephen and Kadri. Stephen first. Good morning, Stephen. Thanks for holding.
Good morning, Mama V. How are you doing?
Oh, very well, thank you. Thanks for asking. Let's hear your thoughts.
Okay, Mama V, I met a lady who said she was interested in me. Got my WhatsApp number. When I realized, she sent me some of her naked pictures personally. So I told her that even next time when you are sending me these pictures, make sure that your image don't appear. Because when your image appears, then my phone gets spoiled and I sent it to the repeller, then it is out there. You might think I'm the one who has posted those pictures. You have to delete those pictures.
Yeah.
Months down the line, she requested money from me. I told her that, I'll be giving her, even though now I don't have money. Then she decided to send me some of her pictures of, excuse my language, her panties from the down part of the breast to the waist, different pictures.
And you were downloading and watching?
And she gave me another picture from her face to the downside of her nipple. And I called her and told her, don't do it because I'm in Boku, you are in Kumasi. These pictures you are sending it to me will not help me because I've seen people who have victims. And I still have some of the pictures on my phone.
So why do you think she was doing that? Was it to get your attention? Was it to get you to give her money?
No, because she told me that she was interested in me. So if I feel like you're interested in me, then you get from my picture and I sent. I don't get the essence of if you send me your personal pictures, including your naked pictures.
Okay.
Your case is quite interesting.
Well,
you still have some of them on your phone still?
Yeah, I still have some of the pictures.
But is this a person that you're dating?
This is a person I just met within some months before I traveled back to Boku. And all of a sudden, she's sharing these pictures to me.
So I see that you don't like it. How do you intend stopping it?
I know for what I intend stopping it is that when I see her call, I don't pick up her call.
Okay. All right. Stephen, well, thank you very much for opening up and sharing this with us. Let's go to Kadri. Kadri is in Tamale.
Hello, Mama B, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us. Let's hear you.
Yes, please. I'm actually a victim.
You're a victim, eh?
You sent your picture.
Yes. You see, I actually met this lady on a flight from Accra to Tamale. We became friends. I exchanged contacts and stuff like that. I actually made it clear to her that I was married. You get it? So we started dating along the line and things couldn't work out as planned, even though she was a Muslim. So one time I visited her place, actually renting somewhere, and things went on very well. And I entered the washroom. When I was inside the washroom, she pretended as if she was making a phone call. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Whilst recording, taking a video of me washing down. So after some time, as we were not talking, like it wasn't like the vibe wasn't there anymore. She called me that she needed to see me. I drove down to her place and she demanded some money from me. In fact, 10,000. And I told her no. I have something doing, so I can't give you that money. And besides that, what do you want to use that money for? And she said she wanted to start business, blah, 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 blah. And I said, oh, Papa, the money is too much. And for that matter, if you are not interested again or something like that, let's just break up. And she showed me the video and threatened to show it to my wife and load it on the internet if I don't comply. I had to, just to protect my home and stuff like that. I took a loan.
Oh, to give to her?
Yes, I paid her 10,000 cedis.
What happened to the video?
And she promised that she was going to delete it or hand over the phone to me and other stuff. She deleted everything. The just before me, including her pictures and everything. I went through her phone, checked everything, and made sure that the video was deleted. Not knowing the video she deleted before me was just to maybe make me feel that my video and everything isn't on her phone again. You understand? And still have that video in a pen drive.
So how long ago was this?
It took me about 3 months. She extorted money no less than 30,000 from me. It took the intervention of a close friend I confided in, who was a military officer at Camino to intervene.
But you didn't formally involve the police?
No issues like that, nothing down here. I'm a married man. I didn't want to break my home. And also, I'm a known person in the neighborhood or something like this, in Tamale specifically. So I didn't want it to come out for people to, it's shameful.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing, but what has this taught you as a person?
I've learned my lessons, not to cheat or not even, I've just, I don't know, the thing affected me so much that I don't even have anything to do with any female, whatever it might be.
Well,
whatsoever it might be. Do you know what happened? And it's final ended. I bought the pen drive from her. I bought the pen drive about 2000, and the friend I had at Barracks threatened her that if she should make a mistake to upload something of that nature, we will wipe her out. That's what happened, and I never heard from her up to date.
Well, thank you, Kadri, for opening up. We really, really appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you, Kadri.
Mr. Foley, Dinah, what do you make of Stephen and Kadri? Kadri sharing, all coming from personal experiences. And these are men, by the way.
Yes. These are men. And then I think earlier on, Edmond had mentioned that men too can be abused. They are being abused, harassed, and all of that. But again, he also hinted that often it's very difficult for us, society, men themselves, to admit and define these as forms of abuse. You notice from Stephen's narration that if it was the other way around, the woman it would be easy for everyone, including the woman, to identify that repeatedly sending nude images were unacceptable. And so if you didn't like it, but he continued, from the way I understand it, I thought Roland was even trying to get from him, do you feel harassed and abused? He was negotiating don't keep doing this, it will harm you, and all of that. And you notice that a lot of people, if they hear the story, will be excited and will be wishing it were them. I've heard men who say that if they say women are harassing them, the conclusion quickly is that I wish I were the one. You are not man enough, take advantage of it. So we even refuse to define harassment on men as harassment because, again, of gender stereotypes. There are conversations that say men cannot be abused. Our law in Ghana does not, by its definition, does not admit that men can be raped. What am I saying? I'm saying that we operate within a society system that minimizes sexual abuse, particularly of men. And that gives the impression that men are in charge and enjoy all forms of sexual activities to the extent that sometimes they have to put up with abuse in a way that is unacceptable. In many cases, what Stephen described, the girl sending him a lot of nude pictures, is a clear form of sexual harassment or seduction. And those cases can be reported, and the woman can be invited, and actions can be taken to prevent her, stop her. But it's very hard for him to even get up and go to an institution or to an office and say, I feel I am being abused or harassed. For him to even tell her that you are harassing and abusing me. And that is the story of a lot of men who experience this kind of thing. But it is a clear classic example of harassment of Stephen. It will come under the category of seduction, or it is even wider cases of sharing unsolicited nude materials. That is, I know of a case where a man said a girl was sending him nude pictures, and when this issue when they dug into it, apparently the pictures were not hers. These were pictures that she had downloaded from the internet, and she was giving him the impression that they were her pictures. So under that cover, she was sending him indecent materials, unsolicited for, and it's still categorized as a form of sexual harassment. And when we come to talk about Kadri, you will notice that the first scenario we talked about when we started the conversation, him trying to oblige to her request did not cure the problem. It did not cure it at all. She just kept going on and on again. So what happened, it's only changed when he brought him a force. He brought him an institution, but it was not quite an institution. He said he brought in a friend who was a soldier. That intimidated her. I mean, he talks about a different kind of threat, but that's a conversation for another day. But that was the only point he was able to stop it. I believe if he had gone to the police, he probably would have arrived at the same answer. But he has his own reasons, and he does his own admissions about what cheating and all of that is. The substance of the matter, however, is that he was also being abused. He was being violated, and he managed to get it stopped. But not everybody will stop it the way he could. The police, I still think, I stand by that. I think no matter how under-resourced the police is, how slow we think they are, I still think that would be the place to go for many people who would have been able to afford over 30,000 before seeking external support.
Well, thank you, Diana. Mr. Foley, we have to end this conversation, but could Kadri have done it any other way, considering the social concerns that he has? And that would be the worry for many people as well.
Yes, most definitely. I think that within the context of our relationships as a people, I would say for married people, and I have also heard stories like Kadiri's, let us be true to the vows that we make and support each other. I think our emotional health is very important. As a wider Ghanaian society, within our cultural setting, we have many opportunities for strengthening our fabric and for giving us a deep sense of self-worth. Let us go back to some of these values and uphold them, teach our children. I think that in this digital age, we are losing a lot of these values, which we shouldn't lose. And it's allowing such tendencies to creep in. So let us also be mindful of our emotional and psychological health as a nation, as a people, and go back to work on these.
Yeah, I was asking if you're a pastor, but I think it helped that well.
No, but I reminded him, Mr. Foley, that you're a strong Catholic.
He is a really strong Catholic.
Charlie, because of you, I'm going back to Catholicism. I'm telling you straight.
Yes, I am.
But Mama V, just to top up with the training that Edmond talks about, we are training only, we shouldn't be training our children and young people in society to not take pictures and upload and all of that. We should also be training people not to violate other people's spaces and rights. Yes. So the training, it's both about save yourself the trouble, don't do this. But also train our young people not to think there's any capital in violating people's rights because the law is likely to catch up with you. So that kind of training is very, very important to attach. And it's important to also build on what the system does. If the system is punitive enough to such behavior, it is also one way of prevention. Systems should be punitive. And then organizations, institutions, Edmond has been a lecturer for years, institutions should have policies, sexual harassment policies that are beginning to accommodate issues of this nature. That even before we go to the police, within the institution, if you carry out such conduct, is the education institution, workplaces, etc., our policies should prohibit such behavior and strong sanctions should be attached to it. So that is deterring enough and sanitizes the system. As we have already said, we should call out our friends and our relatives who do these things so that they don't feel empowered enough to do it. We should stop trolling victims and we should stop encouraging the circulation of these materials so that we protect ourselves, our children, and the generations after us.
Mrs. Diana Diko, thank you very much for your time. Mr. Edmond Foley joining us from Banjul, the Gambia. We really appreciate your time as well. Thank you very much for joining us. This very important conversation.
Thank you.
All right, so we hope that we've all learned the lessons. Let's jump into one of the issues that we're dealing with every day, which is coronavirus. But one of the ways that we're fighting this is disinfecting of markets and we know we've entered the second phase of it. Let's go to Kumasi now. Erastus Asari Donkor is our colleague who's joining us from the Kumasi Jubilee Park. Erastus, what can you report?
If you look at the background now, we have the various teams of Zoomlion ready to take action. This morning, all the markets in Kumasi have been closed, and all of them are to be disinfected. And so the team has assembled here at the Jubilee Park, and we have the Ashanti Regional Minister and the Mayor of Kumasi, Honorable Osei joining the media. They are being briefed at the moment before we take off. Now we are disinfecting the Asafo Market, Amakum, Abinchi, Kejetia, Central Market, Bantama Market, Bushen, Abrepo, Aduato, Oshim, Amanfrom, Racecourse, Santase, and Ataseman. So let's get closer to catch the regional minister's speech before we leave.
The commanding officer, 4 Battalion, Lieutenant Colonel Pipra, the management and staff of Zoomlion, my distinguished friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very grateful to all of you for assembly here this morning to support us in this exercise of disinfection and cleanup. In fact, with the onset of the COVID-19 virus, which has bedeviled the whole world and creating a lot of social, economic, and financial problems for the various countries, the President of the Republic of Ghana, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has come out with various steps and measures to ensure that we contain and ultimately end this virus in the country. Some of the measures is what we are going to witness this morning. That is the cleanup and disinfection exercise. This is not the first time, as you are all witnesses. It did happen some few months ago, where there was disinfection of all markets and lorry parks in the country, which was followed up with cleanup exercise and later with fumigation. Sometimes we try to explain the difference between fumigation because there are two words at times. People use them interchangeably, but they are not the same. Disinfection attacks bacteria, viruses, organisms for which we cannot see with our naked eyes, while fumigation attacks insects, rodents, etc. So what we are doing today is not fumigation, it's rather disinfection and then cleanup exercise. The current exercise when it comes to the disinfection and cleaning of the markets is taking place all over Ashanti region. And the markets involved is between 330 and 350. Actually, they've given us 336. But to have a window of exit, I'll put it between 330 and 350, so that if we did not capture any market later, it could be captured. And the work is being done simultaneously across the country. It's not that maybe we finish KMA, then we move to Kodaso and go to Bantama. No. The exercise is taking place across the whole country, and within the Ashanti region, it's taking place in 46 districts. The reason why we are saying 46 is that they are taking the sub-metros as one entity. So if you take KMA, KMA, we have 4 sub-metros. We have Bantama, Inshiaso, Menchia, and Subin sub-metros. That is why we are having 43 because TME alone has 4 sub-metros. So you add it to the remaining 42 MMDEs, then it becomes 46. So this exercise is taking place in all the 46 sub-metros and then municipal and district assemblies within the Ashanti region. We are appealing to traders in the various markets that whatever inconvenience this exercise will come out with, they should forgive us. But we have to do this to contain the pandemic. We have to do this to keep our markets clean and tidy. So they should endeavor to shut down their shops or close their shops for at least maybe 2 hours, within which the exercise will have been completed within that specific market. After the completion, they can go back and open their shops. The chemicals that will be used for the disinfection exercise is not harmful. So within the shortest possible time, they can go back and open their shops and carry on with their trade. We wish to express our deepest appreciation to the media for the support you've given us in whatever exercise that takes place within the region. In fact, you have been of great support to us, and we cherish the cooperation among us. And we pray that this cooperation will continue so that the development of this region will be enhanced and improved and put on a higher pedestal as all of us are wishing. We are also grateful to you that when you find something wrong, you alert us so that we do correct these errors. We wish also to express our sincere appreciation to the security services that have always also given us the support. As you are all witnesses, the security services are stretched to the brim because of the current Electoral Commission 2020 voter registration exercise, which is ongoing. They are providing security at all the various registration centers.
So that's the Ashanti Regional Minister addressing the media over there. And so when you look at to my right here, you can see the equipment that has been assembled for the disinfection exercise. Quite huge equipment over there, and it's going to blow a mist of chemicals into the environment and to be able to disinfect and clean the environment of any contagion. We also have the members of the security services who have a number of military personnel who have gathered here to ensure that we have a smooth exercise. They are gathered over there. And so we are moving from the Jubilee Park here, and we'll be going straight to the Central Market area, the KJTR, Dr. Mensah and its environs, where this morning the whole place has been closed to traffic, and they will start the disinfection exercise. We also have a number of drones that have been assembled that will be flying over some of the markets to infuse some of the chemicals into the air to be able to have a clean disinfection this morning. So in short, we have assembled, they are ready now. We're going to have the disinfection exercise in some few minutes, Mama V.
All right, Erastus, but Erastus, you did say that all the markets are closed. All the markets?
All the markets in Kumasi proper have been closed. The main market is the Central Market, is being closed. The Asafo Market has been closed. Dr. Mensah has been closed. They are not expecting shop owners at the Doom to be coming this morning. They are all supposed to stay away as the disinfection exercise continues for the next 4 hours.
All right. Erastus Asari Donko is our colleague in Kumasi. Trust that he will bring us all the updates with this exercise when it gets underway proper. Earlier we heard the regional minister giving the media some briefing. Erastus Asari Donko from Kumasi with that live update. Now, the Ghana National Association of Teachers, NATS, is launching its NATS Standpoint on Education as its contribution to the quest for quality public education delivery in Ghana. Be part of NAT's drive at empowering teachers and learners for the greater good of Mother Ghana. This event takes place at the Teachers Hall on Thursday, 23rd of July at 11 a.m. Guest of honor, Reverend Professor Emmanuel Ado-Obing, President, Presbyterian University College of Ghana. Reviewer will be Professor Dominic Mensah of the University of Education, Winneba. Attendance is strictly by invitation. NATS development starts with people and their education. Now, Golden Finger Industries Limited is a fast-growing manufacturing company processing fruits into quality organic cosmetic products, cleaning and disinfectants produced right here in Ghana under certified FDA conditions. So they have in stock GF hand sanitizer, GF rubbing alcohol, GF Ghetto antiseptic, GF multi-purpose liquid soap, GF hand washing soap, GF antiseptic cleaner, GF multi-purpose glass cleaner, and they are located at Giselle Estate, SCC, DVLA. You know, they have all the items that you need for the household. So contact them on 0546 274 0700 0546 270. Okay, let me give you the contact numbers again. 0546 274 070 or 0546 273 990. And their office number is 0302 957 950. Stay with us. When we come back, well, there's one more big conversation to have. Mavis Hawakumsing and the showdown in Little Kaswa yesterday. Fallouts of that here on the show. Stay with us.
Starting registration. Ufaha na for the mema any moto no mushia wa ha. Ya me de so obi ama me ma kwam nti na nya masem. Na last week Thursday na me call steps to Christ. Me call ya no. Na me call to say. Na me bi wo ho mo no friend say mama. Ya me de say wa ba. Na ma me wona ma na me wa send ya me bo wa man. Ti ma me ne say me number ade tie Friday, you know what I'm saying? The amount for free dynasty at the back inside there. I want a school, and you see a science school. Every Friday, now, in around. Naja, Saturday, you break here, now, my uncle. Now, children know homeowner, and your information says, you say what time Eddie and Kofobi, Eddie Sawam. Aba. Na nyo ya mi so sanko for people mati. And Sawam, any other area. Every omo be register. Na the dia what kind of you set society. And why you strong? I mean, they are trying about my news order. 82 times am I MP now. 80 we see information I'm saying na any Ukraine need to be international. Na yan kofa will be MP baby na so ma register wo krom. Na aba nto no like obi meto aba maka ko Africa. me sorry call polling center. And no, I don't know, many manager Kasai. And yes, okay, I don't call. Now, you never panako Kasan. You go do here. Now, my manager credit that.
Honorable Mabel, Sabana, a Bobon Toto, no, Abra Okono, or the Memma Count Hokoi.
Oh, that's how I hear you cry, Miss Memman, Juma. Politics, they say, many amount want to me yet, Mamma.
I remember now, no Mukwe, no Mukru, two, any do it.
Maybe anyone will create to a Didimechi.
On one uncle, no be uncle weapon, Bia.
Or be uncle weapon, Bia.
It won't a Casa and honorable with him. I
am not one show.
One Casa, war MP. Now, who create to a Toban and Nekitao. But what mean to mean, Chere? Who named Tuno? I don't be about the same amount one show. Oh, there be Mabanos, Mabanos, one person who to cry and Nekitao and Wadaroma. Mean to me, Chere with 2 o'clock. Honorable, I said, oh, as an honorable member of parliament, who think I saw create 2 him 2 o'clock now, and I mean to be protected me. Always me protected, but also who to because once I'm back, Ube Yano by all means. Anna, me say, a tuono, a kitao, a be a license, a be a license here, your license here. Me protect what I mean license. It's a 2 hour license, the only 2 o'clock. Until I maybe say 2 bayan. And I make a toss a member me to only enjoy the fact of some license in it. Let us all call a year center on one boy on that. Sana Pessimi. My boy, me who are fine so. Me a member of parliament. It's me now not saying put my dear because we need to be a big child. And I'm your banty. Oh, Debbie, and yes, all your banty. Now, maybe Minister of State, so I will a year police escort. I police in our born by no count. Now the police in coming. All right.
And we've had some responses since.
Yeah, we have. So that's that interview in Chi on our sister station at Doom TV. Nanampo Fojay interviewing Mavis Hawakumson, who admits to shooting at the polling station. Well, she explains, but we've had, of course, some responses. We want to listen to the feedback on the back of this. First is Dr. Kwesi Enin. We'll come back and speak to Sede Champo, who's MP for Empire. So, but he chairs the Parliament's Defence and Interior Committee.
Well, I think it's very disturbing. It's unacceptable. It's premeditated. And in her own words, when she heard instances of supposed violence, she stated clearly, Onyema Sema, that is not my business. So, to get reports from individuals, to leave her house and arm herself, supposedly with a registered weapon, probably she's been taught how to fire in a crowded area, and to behave in that manner is putting life at risk. The dismissiveness about the gun type and then her statement about the licensing raises a lot of concerns. And I think both Mr. Nimako and my colleague, Mr. Friankra, have made their positions clear. But you see, politics is about serving the people of this country and creating an enabling environment in which development, stability, and peace allows us to perform. So it's up to the Inspector General of Police to handle this case. But it goes beyond the police service. This is our political culture. And it is my hope that His Excellency the President will ask Mrs. Hawakumson to step aside by tomorrow afternoon or probably dismiss her because her behavior, although Mr. Nimako tells us she's been candid, yes, she's been candid because she can't lie about what she has done. You know, the only saving grace for her, if she is sacked, as I'm hoping Occupy Ghana and other people will raise their voices about, then, of course, being candid and saying, look.
So, Roland, that's Dr. Kwesi Enin's reaction to that showdown there in Kaswa yesterday. We also have Colonel retired Festus Abuaji also reacting. Real quick, we'll take that reaction before we go to Mr. Seti Champong.
There are certain behaviors that are reprehensible, that are not excusable, and this is one of them. This is a minister, a member of cabinet, if I'm right. You say, a minister, a member of parliament, right, a lawmaker who violates the very law that she had participated in establishing. What else can you say? That is not acceptable. You see, okay. The right thing to do is either to resign or for her to be recalled by whoever appointed her. Under normal circumstances, you and I know that the minister, to use very diplomatic language, should have been invited by the police yesterday. She should have been one of the four, or she should have made the number 5 of those who were arrested by the police. We know that in days gone by, if an opposition, assuming that she had been an opposition member of parliament, wouldn't she have been invited by the police in courts? And wouldn't she, in all likelihood, have spent the night at the police station or police headquarters?
Now, let's engage the chairman of Parliament's Defence and Interior Committee, who is also MP for Empire. So, Mr. Seti Champong, good morning to you. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Mamavi. Good morning. Good morning. Can you guys hear me out clearly?
Oh, we can hear you loud and clear. You're a member of Parliament. You chair a very important committee in Parliament. Do you have a gun?
Yes. Yes, I do have a gun.
Okay. So it's regular, normal for MPs to have guns, even though, well, for the ministers, they also have police escort.
Ideally, I think possessing a weapon and having one is not criminal. It's criminal when you have not gone through the due process of acquisition. If you go through the due process of acquisition through the Ministry of Interior, and you have a personal weapon like a shotgun, which typically we will christen a pistol, it's all right. There are other shotguns like the pump actions. I know people who have license ones. And I do have a pump action as well. So and it's licensed. All you need to do is to go through the necessary protocols and have a weapon, but you are not supposed to brandish your weapon anyhow, anywhere where you go. It's clearly for your personal defense. So you don't tell people what your level of personal defense is. You don't demonstrate that, because that is your strategy, that is your security, and that's your personal way of defending your humanity. So this is not how you go about telling people, I have this, I have that.
Now, what your colleague and then the Minister of State did yesterday, that is defense by admitting that she gave a warning shot?
This is a matter which is still under investigation, Roland. I have listened to many commentators, and this morning I just listened to my senior brothers, Kwesi Enin and Colonel Abuaji. They expressed their opinions. I think we need to look at some of these issues from in our perspective as we discuss it, from a very global approach. I will just draw our attention to what I learned in secondary school of Newton's third law. action and reaction are equal but opposite. It isn't because I'm a politician. But when matters break in this jurisdiction of ours, unfortunately, if you are one of my ilk, like a political animal like myself, all commentary and you hold a position like we do hold, everybody expects you to play above a certain threshold. However, forgetting that in reasonableness, all of us are human beings and we act and react at the same. And so I will certainly give my take that my colleague was in the process defending herself. Reasons are this. If you have gone into a normal registration center where you don't have any form of what we witnessed in Kaswa, there are some neighborhoods when registration is going on. It's really, really sad. And I say this with all emphasis, that it is sad that Ghana, as we have come of age, and in this day and age, we will be intimidating ourselves, whoever gets the opportunity. And I don't take this beyond any person. It is so unfortunate that it does go around this way. I would not falter the member of parliament, because when I was a candidate in the business and I used to go around, there are some areas you'd have to have some exchange of words with your other competitors. And ours did not escalate to this end. But it all boils down to the mistrust that as a people we have developed ourselves into. We mistrust ourselves so much that I don't believe Roland when he's telling me a very clean story. I don't accept Mamavi's voice. And as a result of that, we would forgive my language. Go beyond normalcy and reasonableness and begin to use vulgar language against one another.
Right.
It's so unfortunate that this goes around.
Mr. Champo,
and this is what happens. It is not only, this is not happening only in Kaswa. Forgive me. This is not happening only in Kaswa. It's happening all over. Maybe cameras haven't caught this.
Yeah, Mr. Champo, but you do know that I lived in a community in which violence is normal. We all exchange words. So if you're a politician, and I'm sure you're an Accra boy as well, you do know that exchanging of words is a normal thing in our society, is it not? That is why you are in a position of responsibility, is that not it? And so that restraint and discretion is expected of you.
I agree with you. Like I said, we are all human. Our tolerance levels vary. Roland, I have known you over decades. You know my tolerance level. I know your tolerance level.
So you agree that the Minister of State's tolerance level was very minimal yesterday, and what she did was untoward?
I wouldn't want to make the Minister of State the subject of the conversation.
Okay.
I think if you would look at my initial statement, I talked about action and reaction. What triggered her to behave in that manner? I'm sure this is her third. If I may, in her account, she's a sitting member of parliament in her second term, attempting as a candidate for our political party in the next general elections in December, where if she wins, she becomes a third-term member of parliament. None of such has happened in her two attempts where there was registration exercise. None of a thing like that had happened. So we must find out, why is it happening now that she's a bit more mature as a practical politician? This is where we look at it. And I wouldn't want to make her the subject. I would want us as a people to look at a mistrust of one another and the way we would want to unduly take advantage of systems. I don't think she would have just walked to the station with guns. She's been monitoring the exercise. Nobody has seen her pull a gun out and offer a warning shot at the areas she's visited prior to yesterday's incident. So it does not depict any character who is violent. No. So why I said what I said was to situate this very conversation in a position where if Roland perished the thought, if some persons had that myself had committed this, I would have been crucified today. Why? Because I sit in a position and I sit in a very crucial and critical position. That aside, I'm human. So we need to evaluate the entire analysis from such a position.
Do you support the calls that she should resign?
I'm sure that this is a matter left to none but appointing authority, His Excellency the President. Okay. And now I know the President is the Commander-in-Chief of all our armed forces, and his advisors will definitely speak with the President. The President will not just take any capricious decision. That I know, because he's an experienced statesman.
The committee that you chair in Parliament, the Defense and Interior Committee, is the committee interested in looking into this subject?
Sure, there are a couple of matters that have arisen on the fringes as this registration is going on. And we have written to not necessarily only the police service, but some other state security services to offer us some explanations on the happenings. We are working at these matters at our level and in our own way. And so that is why I'm speaking from the way I'm speaking. It is good to listen to all the other sides of the situation. We should not just jump and begin to lay blame. At this time, if you're a politician, certainly the masses and most of the voice will lay blame on you. You should have known better. You should have known better. But I am a politician as well, and I am a political animal as well, and I am a human being. All of us in this fray, we should attend to these matters with reasonableness. And when we adopt that, we'll see that we will do very well. We should employ systems that allow us to also speak to our following. Every competitor in this business is a leader in this enterprise, and you must insist and control all who are following you. It's not just those who are in the saddle. It is those who are also competing, who are equally right in their rights, qualify in that respect to hold such positions. We should all be responsible. That is the only way we can develop this our dispensation democracy we run.
Finally, Mr. Champong.
The sad news is that Sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to, just because of time, just the last comment that we want you to make. We're told that the Central Regional Police has invited Madam Hawa Kumsin to help with investigations. Are you surprised at this?
No, I'm not surprised at all. Kasoa is under the Central Regional Command. And so due process must start from Kasoa. If it is over and above the regional command, it will move on to headquarters. This is pure police administration, and that is the right process. That is due process.
We thank you very much for your time, Mr. Seth Champong.
I'm very grateful for the opportunity. I'm very grateful for the opportunity as well.
Okay, great. He's MP for Impriaso, but he also chairs the Defense Interior Committee of Parliament, bringing us his perspective to this. What you make of this? Well, share with us on social media. Go to our Facebook page. You'll see the videos that we've uploaded from this showdown, and you can add your comments. We'll be bringing you a lot more at 10 o'clock on News Desk in terms of the reaction. Many more are calling for her to resign or calling on the president to sack her, as her actions do not depict that of a Minister of State, if you like. There's a press briefing this morning on coronavirus. One of the things we've been talking about, well, particularly yesterday from last Friday, the backlogs that we have with the samples is one of the issues that they will be addressing. Roland?
Oh, definitely. And that's why we call it a wrap for the morning. Make sure that you stick and stay with us throughout the rest of the day. Bye-bye.